To a Bellboy webinar on the rolling 10-year maintenance plan. I am Shannon Moore-Barnes, Managing Director of Bellboy, and I'm joined here today by my co-director, Chantal van Heerden. Today, our guests are Paul Adams and Frederick Nell from a company called Curasure, who will be unpacking this 10-year maintenance plan requirement, which was introduced in the new legislation in 2016. Before we introduce the Curasure speakers, please note that this presentation is being recorded and will be live streamed to our Facebook page. Please refer to our website for further information, and you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Any questions relative to the content of this webinar must please be placed via the chat function, and we will attempt to answer as many questions as possible within the time limits at the end of the presentation. Curasure was established in 2005 by their founder, Frederick Nell. Frederick has 22 years of experience in building maintenance and is a leading maintenance expert in the sectional title environment. Paul Adams started his career in the civil engineering field with the relevant qualifications obtained via Cape Peninsula University of Technology in 1990. And over the last 6 years, he has worked for Curasure, 5 of which at his head office in Johannesburg. Curasure's team is experienced in knowledge of coating, waterproofing, damp-proofing repairs, and remedial action systems for building envelope maintenance, all of which is underpinned by years of experience and amplified by Curasure and manufacturer training. Curasure is a preferred maintenance partner that assists in developing your 10-year maintenance plans, and more importantly, can also act as the custodian of your maintenance plan in ensuring the correctly specified solutions and quality control during those maintenance projects. Curasure has been the leading promoter and implementer of 10-year maintenance plans in the sectional title environment since 2005. So therefore, without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Paul, which many of the clients in Port Elizabeth will probably recognize, to take you through their presentation. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much. I'll now share my screen so you can actually see the 10-year maintenance plan there. I say, is that working?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Paul from Curasure. Firstly, I just wanted to say, normally I speak to people at the AGM or trustees meeting, so at least I've got people to reflect to. So if I'm nervous, if my tenses gets confused, because I'm actually Afrikaans, and if I run out of English words, please excuse me. Then I'll be doing the presentation. It's the first time online, and when I've gone through the whole presentation, then Frederick at our head office, he will handle the Q&A sessions. Right, so today we're talking about the 10-year maintenance plan, and this is absolutely just an introductory overview. And we all know if we're living in a sectional title property, then we do need to have a maintenance plan. Oops. Just a minute, I've got the gremlin here, it looks like. Okay, there we go. Back on track. Okay, so for this presentation, our sources, we're looking at the Sectional Titles Scheme Management Act of 2011, Sectional Title Schemes Management Regulations, and then Curasure itself, as Shannon has said, we've got 22 years experience within sectional title schemes, the maintenance thereof, and then Curasure and turnkey maintenance systems. We've got procedures, policies, and technologies that's been developed over these years. Then also through the years, we've communicated and been in contact with the managing agents, and we've also asked for their input and experience. And then legal position and input of various experts that is in the industry. So methodology, the introductory training program is designed, it's a practical guide to understand the implementation of the 10-year maintenance plan, and also as required by law. So the 10-year maintenance plan is also referred to as the Maintenance, Repair and Replacement Plan, or the MRRP. Right, so what is required in law? So the 10-year maintenance plan, firstly, we need to establish and maintain a separate maintenance reserve fund. For that, also secure a separate bank account for the reserve fund, prepare separate set of accounts for the reserve fund, and then we have to prepare written maintenance report for the reserve fund, or the MRRP. Raise both minimum and annual levies for the reserve fund. Now, all of this needs to be presented at each annual general meeting. So who is tasked with responsibility? Very simple. If we look at the sectional title scheme management regulations, the trustees is 100%. They need to implement the 10-year maintenance plan. Administrative and reserve fund. So the Act requires that we separate the two funds for the following purposes. And the very first one is there's the administrative fund. And this fund typically is our operational expenses. So that will be our managing agent fees, municipal charges, our gardening, their security, and then our normal day-to-day stuff that will be electricity, plumbing, anything that happens at the scheme that needs to be sorted out. Then the second one is our reserve fund. This fund is used for the maintenance of the common property, structures and major components of the common property. So if we look at our building, we've got our main components, which would be roofs, waterproofing, windows. It's that main structure that we actually live in. That is what the reserve fund is used for, our common property. So now the reserve fund, what is this fund used for? It's very simple. The reserve fund is used to implement the 10-year maintenance plan, or your MRRP, your maintenance, repair and replacement plan. So it's very clear, the law specifies we have to raise that reserve fund, and then not only have it, but we have to actually implement it and use to maintain our property. And this fund is also ring-fenced, and it's for that purpose only, to do the maintenance. So what is included in the 10-year maintenance plan? Firstly, it must be a written report projected over 10 years. We list the items required for the maintenance and repairs and replacement. So that will typically be, if we look at the building, we'll have a roof, we'll have walls, we'll have windows. So it's those main components that we are listing within the 10-year maintenance plan. So that's the very first thing. We list components and substrates. Second one is the current condition of the items. If we look at it, are they actually in a good condition? Do they need maintenance? Are they falling apart? Are they good? The year in which the maintenance needs to be required for each item. So that's very simple. Which year do we actually start with the maintenance? This year, next year, 2 years from now, when will we do that? And then an estimated cost. The estimated cost is very simple. We need to put the cost in there so that we know what are we actually looking at, what do we need to save. The projected lifetime of maintenance, or the frequency. So let's say an example, wooden framed windows. Depending on our exposure, if it's a northern or a southern elevation, every 2 to 3 years we need to maintain that. So in your 10-year maintenance plan, it will be repeated on a 2 to 3 year maintenance cycle. And then any relevant other information that we actually need. And this full 10-year maintenance plan actually needs to be presented in a written report at each AGM. So if we look at the 10-year maintenance plan to start off, the very first step, we're going to say, right, we've got nothing. We've got to start actually populating a 10-year maintenance plan. So if we look at this, for this specific example, we've just identified and we've said we've got a tiled roof, gutters and downpipes, exterior elevations or walls that's actually painted. We've got windows, carports, boundary and freestanding walls, and then general metal and woodwork, and then contingency 10%, because we never know what happens. There's always unforeseens that happens. So for that, we allowed that contingency as well. Next one that we said that the plan needs to have is an actual condition rating. For here, we've just put in fair. From our point of view, fair, it's actually maintainable. If it's good, it means it's brand new, and poor, well, it's in a condition that we actually have to replace it. And then first cycle, in this instance, we've used the roofs and the gutters in 2021, exterior walls 2000, and windows 2022, 23, 22, and so on. Right, and then our frequencies. So if we look at the roofs, we say every 5 years we'd like to maintain them. The same with the gutters, exterior walls. If we've done a good project, hopefully we'll get to 7 years, and every 7 years we actually maintain our exterior walls. Current estimates, so we'll go out and we'll use estimates from actual market related prices at this stage to start populating so that we know what do we actually need to save. And then if we look at the 10-year maintenance plan in full, it is a just on the left, we again have our area, we have our condition rating, which is fair, our first cycle frequency, and then our estimate, and then our 10 years with at the various places. For example, if we look at your tiled roofs in the first year, 2021, we'll do maintenance, and then also in year 6. Right, so in summary, in essence, the maintenance plan can therefore have a very basic and conservative starting point. The important thing is to review the information and to start recording each maintenance project. So when we start, we'll typically have nothing. We develop the first maintenance plan, we take it to the AGM, we get it approved, and we continue with the maintenance. After that, we actually now have to go in that year and say, what have we done? And we record it in the maintenance plan. And if there's other substrates that we didn't, or components that we didn't maintain that year, we'll say, right, this is the current condition. And do we need to now maintain it as per the plan next year, or is it actually lasted a bit better and we're going to move it forward? So that's a revision the whole time. And also what's happened in the market with the prices. We have to upmarket our prices. So funding the maintenance plan. So the next step will be to put together the PQ schedule and the reserve fund levy contribution schedule. And this is done very similar, completed in a similar fashion as the admin budget per section and PQ. Once again, at AGM, it will be presented for approval. Funding the maintenance plan. Once again, one can project the 10-year over 10 years and show the owners the projected levies. So once again, that's a projection, it's a starting point, and from there one will discuss at the AGM where it needs to go. And remember, important, each year it actually needs to be reviewed and approved. 10-year maintenance plan in closing. So we must keep it simple and keep it manageable, the plan and the budget. Remember, maybe back on that one there, a lot of the times, if I can just, what's the English word, break a little bit here. People say, okay, so, you know, budget, where do we get the money and things like that, and we don't have money now. Guys, the important thing is, it says there, keep it simple and keep it manageable. So if you don't start with a plan now, I promise you 3 years from now, you'll also not have a plan. So just start with the plan and start your budgeting. Then remember that maintaining the common property is a duty, it's a must. Okay, and this is a responsibility of the trustees. And also on that point, very important, the trustees need the support of the rest of the body corporate to actually do that function. Then review each year. We need to review, you know, the 10-year maintenance plan. Will it be perfect the very first time? Probably not. We're building it, and as the more we build our 10-year maintenance plan, the more maintenance we do, the more work we do on site, it will grow and it will become more accurate. So therefore, record all the projects and improve the record keeping. That will all help to make that one better. And then keep day-to-day maintenance in an administrative budget. So that's your plumbing, electrical repairs, and so forth. Then as things are happening and deteriorating, we grow the plan with items as information become available. For example, let's say plumbing. If we look back at a couple of years of history, we've spent 2,000-3,000 rand a year on plumbing at the scheme. All of a sudden, it gets out of control. We see there's 20,000 rand, and now we know, okay, there's a red flag going up. What is happening here? And if we then have a major plumbing failure because of age or whatever, we actually now take that out of our administrative budget and we'll now put it into our 10-year maintenance plan. And then lastly, make use of expert. It will save you a great deal in the long run. Thank you. That's the end of that. I think we can go to, if there's any specific questions now, that Frederick can assist us maybe with answering those questions. Maybe just as a last thing from my experience in the last couple of years working with body corporates, if you allow me, I think anybody that's actually tuned in here, that's witnessing this and watching this, you're on the right step and you actually care and make enough effort to actually watch this. And guys, in a scheme, you got to create an atmosphere where you actually care about each other and look out for each other. But you're on the right track, and always body corporate. Please support your trustees. Okay, over to you guys.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. We haven't had too many questions, but I am going to just deal with the couple. The one question is, the clients watching going to get copies of the presentation? We obviously will send hyperlinks out of this webinar to everyone to view. But if you would like a copy of the presentation, I don't know, Frederick, are you going to make it available?
Thank you, Chantal. Yes, we actually plan to publish this on our webpage as well. We've actually got a training video with the voiceover artist that the entire video will be published as well. So we should be doing that shortly, and we'll let you know what the link is. Yeah.
So yes, we will be sending the link out to everyone, but if they actually want to, instead of the video, a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, will they be able to have access to that?
We'll make a plan and prepare.
Okay. Okay, the other one was, and I know that this is a question that has been placed with you guys before, is why do you not include inflation in your projections in that plan?
So thank you for that question. Thanks, John. So you can include inflation escalations. You can even include accruals in your calculations. The view that we've got on that, or the position that we've taken, is that to include escalations or accruals is actually a financial exercise. So we start with the fundamental 10-year plan, and from that point forward, you can escalate it in a financial plan. So when we work closely with our turnkey clients and our clients up here, is once we've got a 10-year plan, we then take it to a next level where we do financial planning with them. And in that model, we can include escalations. The other important thing to recognize is that the Act specifically asks the trustees to prepare the maintenance plan, and is very specific what it must include, as Paul explained to us now. And then it asks us to review it on an annual basis. So it's almost like taking a snapshot or a picture at a certain point in time. So we've taken a snapshot or a picture of today and where we stand with the values and the prices. And next year, at next year's AGM, we'll present another snapshot. And that snapshot will be based on next year's prices, estimates, and values. So I trust that that answers the question for you, Chantal. And Shannon?
Yes, no, it does. It is something that we've been asked, and obviously with our clients, we do include escalations in plans that they ask us, to prepare, and in exercise that we can also do that for you. So I think that is it for today. Thank you very much, Paul and Frederick. We appreciate you joining us and unpacking this for everyone. Unless, Chantal, you have anything to add, I think we're going to close this webinar.
Yeah, Shannon, thanks very much. I think just a question for you to answer possibly is relevant to the submission of this 10-year plan to CSOS as part of the documentation that must be filed with them. I think the trustees need to understand the importance of this document being filed with them as well.
Yes, the document does have to be filed with CSOS, and obviously has to be approved by members in general meeting. So the trustees draft it, they can outsource it, just like trustees have the authority to outsource or delegate certain of their responsibilities, but that plan has to be tabled at the AGM for approval by members. And then we file it with the Ombud.
100%. I agree with you, Shannon, Chantal. And I think what's important is the message to get across to the trustees and the owners as well, is this is a matter of compliance, and it deals with owners' money. So when the legislator or CSOS asks us to file it, to keep separate books of accounts, to keep records of it, this is like having audited financial statements presented at AGM. This is a requirement, and it's extremely important that the information we present is as accurate as possible, and that we clearly spell out the 10-year plan and the reserve fund position and future.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and thank you for taking the time to join us.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
For the opportunity. I hope to join you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.